Hi, Ken again. Today's February 16th at roughly 7:30 p.m. near Pittsburgh, uh, northwestern PA. Boy, I'm beginning to feel the effects of aging. Uh, this is just a little bit of excuses of letting you know why I'm not such a wonderful talker. I'm coming up with um, lately. I've been tired lately too. I am under the weather. I've got uh, like the flu or something, and it's making me go for words that are normally in my vocabulary, but they won't come into my mind. Places, things, it doesn't matter. Nouns, verbs, adjectives, normal vocabulary, but it makes me pause while I'm talking to you because I'm looking for the word. I can't find it. Uh, I've been at this less than a week, and I'm sorry, I am impatient. I was hoping for more, but God will bless. And when I say will bless me, actually, and this endeavor, it is work, but I love it. You have to understand it takes energy, it takes focus, it takes preparation. Of course, I've been preparing to do this for all those decades, for over 4 decades of study. And I do talk to people, but I never get a chance to talk in front of groups of people. And I think I'm worthy of that. And the body of Christ needs as much mature teaching and leadership as it can get, because there's a lot of charlatans out there with huge crowds who are being led astray or at least taught badly. And they give their money to these people and making them wealthy, which is just sinful on their part for not being discerning and not being prudent with their giving. I don't want any of your money. God's provided for me well enough at this stage of the game. I'm glad I could pay my bills. More than happy. And I just bought something that is, that is applicable to this endeavor of video making that I'm doing now. It's right behind me, and I have to watch as I point to it. There it is. It's a penny farthing bike. That's what they're called, these old-fashioned bicycles that have a big front wheel and a little back wheel. Now, it's the big front wheel, as it is this one over here, of a printout of a bicycle wheel. And this is also a bicycle wheel, just bigger, and it shows better behind me than the little red one. But it's going to stay behind me one way or another as a reminder that everything, hopefully someday we'll actually have a discussion, but I'm just doing all the talking. And one nice person, thank you again, responded to me in these 5-6 days I've been doing this. And they said, thank you for your service, but nothing theological, but for my service, because, I served in the Army infantry and was sent to Korea in 1970 up on the DMZ, where it was hairy, but not as hairy as places in Nam, because I never got into a firefight. I mean, I'll show you pictures sometime, lock and loaded machine guns, grenades, grenade launchers, M60 machine guns, our own M16s, hand grenades, all that stuff. We were armed with lock and load when we went into the DMZ, but that's another story. I don't want to waste time. I'm already 4 minutes into this, but this is a general thing. Again, I got to keep reminding people because we learn through repetition. There'll be a time I won't be so repetitious, but I'll be a little. I'll always remind people, because hopefully someday there may be people that get later on come and get interested in what I have to say and be able to bear with the kind of person I am on screen to say these things. And so here we go. Everything I'll be speaking of for the most part is extremely complicated and connected to other things. I'll make a list before I get off shortly, but that's what the bike is. Excuse me. not bike. That's what the bicycle wheel is to represent. Okay? And it represents each issue that we want to know in this world, especially as Americans, but we don't know for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's hidden from us. You think the news would tell us, but no. This world is run by Satan. Underneath them are human beings or semi-human beings called the Illuminati, or not human beings. They're creatures, fallen creatures, that are able to come across as looking and acting human. And that's more of the truth than it is any kind of a theory, by the way. I would put that in your mind and and keep it. Okay, continuing. I'm getting coughing jags here, and I can't. I have to pause. I can't show you what the kind of coughing jags I get into. You'd be calling 911 from where you're at 10 years later if this lasts so long. Anyway, yeah, everything I'm going to be bringing up is you're not being told. You don't know what's going on. Even good Christian people, most of them don't know what's really going on and how it fits together, dovetails, you know what I mean, together. And it does. But it makes the whole issue extremely complicated. So I can't just give you 1-2 sentences or maybe even a small paragraph of what's happening and have 90% of you to understand it. Maybe 10%, but not 90. It's part of my gift. God says, hey, Ken, this is how this stuff's working. And if he's going to tell me, then I know automatically I should pass it on to you, the brethren. And it's wearing us down not knowing what's going on. Let me help relieve that the question mark we know is life today. Crazy things are happening. But let me name some of the issues, but they all tie in, and they're very complicated. So let's say the issue is the hub, but it has many strings attached to it. If I'm to explain it to you well, I need to get on all these related subjects that feed into one issue, that makes one issue possible, and explain it. Now, I could just give you the 1 or 2 sentences, and it'll sound like insanity to you. And I will. I'll give it to you that way from now on. When I go forward, and then I'll go forward from that simple 1 or 2, whatever short explanation to how it fits together. And that's where it'll take me time in these videos. As much as I know it well, and I know it well, even I get confused, especially when I'm under the weather like this. Suddenly I'm 75, and I've had to admit that's an old man. And there's no pride left in me, I don't think, or very little of it. Of course there is, because I have my hat on. That's pride. But why should you look at so much ugly? The hat I do think helps, in the visual part of this thing. I can't do anything about it except put a hat on my head. I could put a veil, use a veil. Yeah, I think this will help. Let's see. There. Is that better? Not necessary, but I'm just teasing. And I want to be like that in my videos. I want you to watch what would seem to be, watch me and seem to be a friend talking to you. An old uncle, a Dutch uncle we used to call, or a dad. I'm not trying to be a father to you necessarily, but I am trying to be a good Dutch uncle to you. That's a man who cares about you and is good-hearted, good-natured, and mature enough to help you in life. Little things I say here and there about myself that seem way too personal for some of you, and there are probably many of you out there going, you shouldn't get that personal. Well, wait a minute. There's guys out there, people out there that are suffering the same things, and they don't know what the heck's going on. They just know they're hurting. They might be able to say, gee, I'm lonely, or I'm very frightened for the future. Well, when they hear me kind of say, I've dealt with it, and I'm still dealing with it to some extent, small or great, I'm giving you comfort. See, it's part of strengthening the saints. My motto is preach the gospel and strengthen the saints. Since then, I've added preach the gospel of Christ and strengthen the same thing. Okay, but again, reminding you, and I'm making it short, the penny farthing bike, and this thing keeps dropping down. The other bike wheel, the red one, the little red one, you can probably hardly see. It's complicated. I'm going, and you're not going to appreciate this. Most of you won't, because you can't follow it. As best as I'm going to try, I think some of you, unless God directly, it's always up to God. Some he'll have to really give you the lightning bolt to understand. Others, he'll give you a nudge or two, and okay, I see this now. I see it now. And this is to comfort you, because then now you're not left out in the cold, not knowing what's going to happen, what's happening, not just going to, but happening. And there is some stuff that's coming. I'm going to stop this now and start over tonight in a few minutes. And I'm going to repeat. Again, repetition is a great way to remember and understand. Repeat the Apophis wormwood deal again. The asteroids coming in. I just did it, and I think this is number 9 video that you're watching. Last night I did the Apophis one, and it was titled The Asteroid Apophis that NASA says might hit us. I think that's number 8, and this would be number 9 video in a row. I try to give you the date, the location, because if you do see these at a much later date, you'll know when I said them. So you can help put things in perspective chronologically. And because I've watched a lot of videos, there's a lot of people out there, men out there smarter, more gifted than I, but I am to be counted among them at a much lower echelon of abilities. But I've got my piece to say, and God's given me a couple things I have not heard from anywhere else. I'm beginning to hear a little more about Apophis. And in fact, the one came out today. I want to tell you, I don't know about attaching things to this video. I have to learn from people that maybe would eventually pop online and help me, who've got their own sites, can tell me how I can attach other videos to give you illustrations. Now, if I want to attach pictures, I'll hold one up maybe until then. But I can't put a video on this until I know for sure that I am not doing something against the laws of YouTube and get kicked off here, because I want to say some things. And I'm only afraid of YouTube in that reason, because they can stop me. I'm using their platform. And I lost my place again. See, the whole deal is being scatterbrained. It's hard when you're under the weather, because the things I want to tell you is complicated. Let me say this before I move out. Things like the assassination of JFK, the assassination 100 years earlier of Abraham Lincoln. Things can only be assumed, but there's a lot of information. I believe the Illuminati assassinated both Lincoln, he was a godly man, and JFK, because he was a good man. I don't know, he was Roman Catholic. I believe he was religious, and there's many Roman Catholics who are saved out there, but yet couldn't give you the gospel directly. And you folks, don't take offense. It's true. And I don't want it to be true. I'm here to help, not to criticize you, but I have to make you aware. Nobody says this to your face anymore, and you take the heat over it if someone does. Offense. And other things that the Illuminati have done. 9/11. 9/11 was tied into the other spoke, and the hub of causing, false flag causing national emergencies in which these people that are running our show aren't serving America, they're serving the Illuminati. All of them. I don't want to start using names, but all of them. And no matter how they act and how they speak. Where did I see getting my us now? Where was I? The Illuminati 9/11. JFK, a few months before they assassinated, was talking about, and you can Google this, Google up JFK and the Monolithic Society, that he explains, and he says he's going to fight it. Well, he fought it all right until they blew his brain apart in front of his poor wife and the world. And I'm sure the same thing with Lincoln. You know, we don't know anything about John Wilkes Booth, and there's lots of rumors that probably are true, but I'm not bothered by going back. I simply believe it as fact that the Illuminati knocked him off too. Why? Because the Illuminati has a plan. What plan? A plan that goes back 3,400 years at least. And it's tied in with the occult and Satan. I can't give you more information because I'll get booted off here. So fast you'll never see my face again, and you'll never see the ones I've already done. They'll take them off too. And there's so much I can share that you don't need to know certain things because it's dangerous for me. And it's good for you, but it's not. It's dangerous for a group of people too, because people have a tendency, and this other group of people that I'm referring to deserve a lot of the criticism that they get. They really do. But the world is running interference for them because, well, whatever. That includes the news. I'll say to you, too, another thing that's complicated is that the mainstream news, often abbreviated as mainstream media, MSM, capital, like channel, like ABC, CBS, even Fox. Even Fox. They're great pretenders of being conservative. Well, yeah. The pretenders out there that act like they're on our side on television and in the media are working because they're either foolish and they can't see the end from the beginning. I can, and I'm going to try to tell you. But it's complicated. Complicated. Like all the spokes. And there is this saying, speaking of complicated, there's a saying, it's a riddle, wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma. Winston Churchill said that in 1939 about the coming Nazis, okay? And what was behind them. And that's what's happening. You think that's easy? You think that's you're going to just have something hit you in the face of knowledge, hit you in the face and be so obvious as when you can't figure it out with all the newscasts you watch and read and things like that, and you still don't know what the heck's going on. They'll talk all day about the particulars, but never the goals. And where is this taking us? It won't say where it's taking us. Not ultimately, because that's the plan. So all the mechanics, the forest for the trees, you can't see the forest for the trees. And that's exactly what's going on. I'll have to start incorporating that phrase, along with it's an enigma wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in a mystery, whatever. I said it backwards, but you know what I mean. Okay, I'm going to end this now as soon as I mention a few more of the enigmas. The enigmas are the murder of JFK, Lincoln that's so far back we don't care anymore. But it does tie into the same people and the same reasons. There is something happening. There's a plan of ages. Okay, you've heard Rock of Ages. Well, there's an evil plan of ages from Lucifer. That's that old. That will not be intercepted or stopped or pretty much even slowed down unless God slows it down. But as a human, you get in the way, you get eliminated. You fall down steps, you die mysteriously, and they'll say it's cancer or a heart attack. Nobody looks into it, and you're off the scene, and nobody even remembers your name in a month. And, or less, even if you're famous. And 9/11 is what JFK was saying about no matter how dire the emergency is presented to you by a government, your own government, it's not worthy of giving up your freedoms. And our Constitution is getting attacked left and right. And you've got these pea-brain people out there that don't want you to own a gun. My gosh, our enemy is our government. Hey, how about asking the 22 million Russians that died in the Russian Revolution around the turn of this last century? Huh? You think they didn't feel like their government was the enemy? It was. It killed them. How about Germany and the Jews? Hey, all those Jews in Germany were Jewish citizens living peacefully and basically righteously among their fellow Germans. Yet they got betrayed by their government and murdered horribly. Kept in concentrations, thrown in, and there's people that say it never happened. Oh, it happened. It happened. And, but anyway, but it's all for a reason. Okay. So what I named JFK, Lincoln, 9/11, they're the biggest things. Now we have COVID. Gears have shifted. I don't want to get into COVID because it's one of the taboo things, but just be careful. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. I'll say it right now. Maybe you should get your shots, huh? Get all your shots that the people say get. Well, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a stupid old and pretty well fat man. So, but it's something that we need to be thoughtful of. Okay. Of course, I'm talking with the volume down way, way low right now when I'm talking about that, and I'm going to just jump right out of it because it's not a good topic this early on. There's so many other things I want to say. So I'm going to wrap it up right now, and this is Show Me the Time, and it hasn't. I'm going to end it. God bless you, and I'll give you another one following to repeat the Apophis Wormwood deal because it's imminent. It has a great chance of the theory of that being true happening this October, by the end of this October. And so I can't wait, and you can't wait to understand it. So because of my lack of abilities to explain things and stay more tightly on the issues, I'm going to repeat it again. God bless and see you shortly.